Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? I don't have my lighting in here tonight, guys, so you have to forgive me. I meant to do this video earlier, but I didn't get an opportunity. So nonetheless, we're here. We are here. How is everyone? Hi, Tiffany. Hi, is it Ladie? How do you pronounce your name, sweetheart? This is Cheryl Ravenel, Master Wife Coach and Transformation Scientist. I help women to transform their lives from the inside out. And I wanted to come on really, I always say really quickly. It's probably not going to be quick. I look dark. Sorry, you guys. Maybe I need to get a light. Hey, am I really dark to you guys? I look really dark on here. I'm looking on my phone. Oh, you know what? My phone is very dark. I think that's what it is. I don't think it's that bad. Okay. Hey, so this is Cheryl Ravenel, and I wanted to just come and talk. I've been doing this series on anger and rejection. So if you've been listening to any of the videos, I've just been talking about how anger is a secondary emotion. So if that's something that you deal with, something that you struggle with, something that's showing up in your marriage, I want you to know that it is secondary. And we have to deal with the primary cause of your feelings, the primary reason why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. And I know for many of you, rejection is the primary cause, the primary reason. And I know even in my own life, in my own marriage, I've struggled with rejection, feeling rejected from past relationships, feeling rejected even from my father at some point. If you've been following me for any amount of time, I share the story of my father being there physically and financially, but a lot of times emotionally, he was not there in the way I needed him. So that was rejection to me. And we dealt with the definition of rejection, feeling isolated, just someone isolating you or dismissing you, not making you feel as if you are part of something, a part of the relationship, not making you feel special, not including you, and things of that nature. So that all has to do with rejection. So I wanted to just share with you. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the story of Hagar, Abraham, and Sarah, but I'm going to just share with you that story. And when I was thinking about rejection, God just put this really in my spirit as far as Sarah is concerned, and said Sarah was rejected. Hagar was rejected, and also Sarah was rejected, and also Hagar was rejected. And I had to start thinking about how did she deal with her rejection. So for Hagar name means flee. It's one who flees. That's what her name means, one who seeks refuge. The story of Hagar and her son Ishmael is the story of millions exploited, abused, trafficked women, children, and all of that other stuff. So that had to do with all of that. But just a little backstory, God went to Abraham. If we were to look at the Bible, Genesis 16, God went to Abraham, and God told Abraham that he was going to be a father of many nations. God made a covenant with Abraham. But Abraham was so focused on not having a child, and not being able to give in his inheritance to a child. He felt as if God was doing him a disservice, because here God was saying, I'm going to give you all of this, but I don't have anybody to give it to. So in fact, in Genesis 15 and verse 2, well, verse 1, let's back up. And this is a covenant with Abraham that the God had made. It said, after this, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abraham. I am your shield, your very great reward. But Abraham said, Sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless? He automatically started thinking about the fact that he didn't have any children. And the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus. And Abraham said, you have given me no children, so a servant in my household would be my heir. So Abraham is saying, look, God, I desire children. My wife Sarah desires children, but you have chosen not to give us any children. And the only person that is going to inherit what I already have is a servant in my household. This shouldn't be. Then the word of the Lord came to him and said, this man will not be your heir. So God is affirming and confirming with Abraham. But right now, Abraham is not feeling it. but a son who is your own flesh and blood will be your heir. He took him outside and said, look up at the sky and count the stars. If indeed you can count them, then he said to him, so shall your offspring be. So basically, God was saying, I'm going to give you children beyond the number that you can count. Because if you look at the star, if you look at the sky and the stars and the skies, none of us can count that. That's more than we can count with our human ability, right? So God was showing him that I'm going to give you so much to the point that you will not even be able to count the stars. So fast forward, God went to Sarah and told Sarah that they were going to have a child. But of course, you know, they were already old. They were older, I believe in 80s, 90s or something like that. And hypothetically speaking, you don't typically see an 80 or 90-year-old having a child, right? So hence, even the more why Abraham did not believe what God was telling him. But God also shared this with Sarah and told Sarah that she was going to have a child. But Sarah did not believe. And to the point where Sarah told her husband to take her maidservant, Hagar, and to have a child with her maidservant, right? So told her husband, Abraham, to have a child with her maidservant, Hagar, because she felt like she was not going to have any children. So she did that. And when Hagar and Abraham got together, she became pregnant, right? She became pregnant. And when she became pregnant, she despised her mistress. Then Sarah said to Abraham, you are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. So not only Hagar is going to experience rejection, now Sarah is going to experience rejection, but Sarah placed herself in that position because Sarah gave her husband permission to sleep with another woman because she was feeling like, I don't have any kids. You know, I'm all out here just trying to be great and I don't have any kids. My husband doesn't love me because I can't give him children. This is all in her head, right? Because this was not the case. This was not the case. So now she's experiencing rejection. So now she's telling her husband, now she's blaming him for her rejection. So the first point is you have to identify or confront your rejection. You have to confront your rejection. It was not Abraham's fault that Sarah was experiencing rejection. And it was not Abraham's fault that now, you know, he's in this predicament with Sarah's handmaiden. His wife practically placed him in that situation. Now, one can argue and say, you know, he's man, he knew better, he should have done better, yada, yada, yada. But he really felt like by doing this, he was going to please his wife and he was going to make his wife happy. I know it sounds crazy, but this is what it was. So first you have to identify the rejection. Why are you feeling rejected, right? Why is a feeling of rejection, why is this an issue for you? Okay, so Abraham agreed to what Sarah had said and took on Hagar and had the child from Hagar. So then when Hagar realized that Sarah knew that she was pregnant, she fled. Remember, her name means the one who flees, the one who leaves. So she fled. She left. She didn't want to confront the issue. She didn't want to confront Sarah. She didn't want to confront Abraham. She felt like at this point, you know, I'm only a maidservant. I'm nobody. And in fact, Sarah started mistreating her. Sarah started treating her bad. This person that once waited on Sarah hand and foot, once served Sarah, once loved Sarah. I'm sure they had some type of love or bond that they had amongst between each other. She started mistreating her. Because Abraham said, listen, this is your slave. Because, you know, every individual had their own personal helper, slave, maid, butler, whatever you want to call it. Abraham said, this is your slave. This is your person. You deal with her however you want to deal with her. You know, some could argue that Abraham was wrong for doing that, but he felt like, listen, I did what you wanted me to do. You're still not happy. Now you deal with her. And she dealt with her and she mistreated her. And because she mistreated her, she left. So then verse 7 says, the angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was a spring that is beside the road of Shur. And he said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going? Now, God already knew. He knew where she came from. He knew where she was going. But he posed that question to her because he wanted to let her know, like, look, I know what's going on. I know what happened. I know you slept with somebody else's husband. I know that you're pregnant with somebody else's child who has a wife. I know all of this. But what I don't understand is why are you running, right? Why are you running? So God says, so Sarah, she then says, I'm running away from my mistress Sarah. And then the angel of the Lord said, go back to your mistress and submit to her. Now, wait a minute. This is super crazy. So not only are you pregnant with somebody else's child, the person that was once your friend is now mistreating you and hates you for getting pregnant by her husband. You flee, and now God is telling you to go back from where you came from to only be mistreated again. That is so crazy to me. But she had to do number two. She had to confront her, reject her. So the very person that was rejecting her and that made her feel shame, that dismissed her, God told her to go back to that person, and not just go back to that person, but also to submit to that person. That means to serve that person. Wait a minute. That is super crazy. Is that not crazy to you? And the reason why God told her this, because God had made her even a promise. So the angel of the Lord said to her, you are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man, saying Ishmael. His hand will be against everyone. He's going to have problems, anger problems too. And everyone's hand will be against him, and he will live in hostility toward all his brothers. She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me. For she said, I have seen one who sees me. That is why the well was called Bir Laha Roha. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abraham a son, and Abraham gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar bore him a son. So I'm letting you know that even in the midst of you feeling rejected, you have to, number one, confront your rejection. And then you have to, number two, confront the rejecter, the person that caused the rejection. And then number three, you have to undergo your own individual healing from that, and understand that although you are rejected by man, you're not rejected by God. Although Sarah rejected Hagar, Abraham rejected Hagar, God was reminding Hagar that although these people rejected you, although these people dismissed you, although these people have shunned you and put you out to be this bad person, I have not rejected you. So God is saying even to you, although you may have been rejected by your father, by your mother, by your ex-wife, by your ex-husband, although these feelings of rejection did exist in your life, and they currently exist because you are having a hard time getting over those things, you are not rejected by me. I am still going to bless you. I am still going to place you on a pedestal. I am still going to love you. I am still going to care for you. And God wants to remind you that even when you're rejected by other people, that doesn't have to be your name. You don't have to live and dwell in rejection. You don't have to answer to rejection. That is not who you are. So just like God told Hagar to go back, I'm telling you to go back. That can be figuratively or that can be literally. You don't have to run from your destiny. You don't have to run from your purpose. You don't have to run from your assignment because now that you're feeling rejected. And if rejection is an issue inside your marriage, you have to confront that. And a lot of that confrontation may take place inside of you. Why am I experiencing this? Am I still dealing with those daddy issues? Am I still dealing with those mommy issues? You know, the fact that my husband may not answer the phone or may not answer my text message or may not be paying me attention. It may not be anything personal that he is doing, but I am associating that to rejection because that's a trigger for me. I'm feeling neglected. I'm feeling unwanted. I'm feeling unloved. Those are things that you have to confront. Hagar had to go back and confront that. She couldn't just flee and think she can just go away and have her baby and that be it. God says, no, go back to your maid, go back to your handmaid, go back to her, go back to the house from where you came from and confront that thing. So I'm telling you to confront that thing. You may not physically go back to the house. You may not physically go and confront that person, but the confrontation again has to take place within inside of you. And you have to understand that rejection is not your name. You're not dismissed. You're not isolated. That's not who God has created you to be. And if this is showing up in your marriage and you refuse to deal with this can cause damage in the marriage because you'll always think that your husband or your wife is dismissing you by the little things that they do. by the little things that they do, the little things that they say. It will have you feeling as if you are rejected. So you need to be reminded on today that although rejection may have been something you have experienced in the past, that is not who you are today. That is not who God created you to be. You are chosen by him. You are chosen by God. You are special to him. You are the apple of his eye. He knows every single hair on your head, every strand of hair. He knows on your head. He knows the count on your head. He made you so special, get this, that your very fingerprints are different from anybody else in the whole entire universe, even if you're a twin. He made you that different. The structure of your face, the structure of your body, your anatomy, everything is different and unique than anybody else. He made you that way. So if you've experienced rejection, I feel your pain. I've been there, done that. But I had to understand, even in that individual healing had to take place within inside of me. And for you, that is what needs to happen. Individual healing. Not blaming him, not blaming her, not trying to get solace from anybody else, including your spouse. But getting that peace within, learning to work through those issues, learning to work through those internal hurts and those internal pain. So those things will no longer have control over you, over your life, or over your marriage. Yep. So I just wanted to come on and just spend a few moments on here with you today. I'm in my bedroom, relaxing. We had a snow day today, but I wanted to share, and we'll be having this conversation. We'll be having this constant conversation that we'll be having as it relates to rejection, as it relates to anger, because again, anger is a secondary emotion. And for many, that is there because they're feeling rejected and you're not able to talk to your husband because you're too busy in your mood. You're in the mood. You have an attitude. You know, you're giving off negative energy because you're thinking that he is rejecting you, or he may be, or she may be rejecting you. If you're a guy on here and it's your wife, that may be the case, but we have to confront it. We have to confront it, right? We can't just brush it off. We can't pretend that it's not there. We can't just keep going through life and you know, having an attitude and shrugging our shoulders and, you know, and giving them the cold shoulder and having a chip on our shoulder and all of this. You can't continue to go through your marriage like that because nothing is going to get resolved. So you go to your husband, you go to your wife and say, honey, you know, I feel like I'm being rejected when XYZ happens. Hey, sis, I feel like XYZ happens. I feel like this when XYZ happens. I know that's not your intent. I hope that's not your intent, but these feelings of rejection are something that I'm still dealing with. These are things that I'm still struggling with, and I need you to help me get through this. If your spouse loves you, if they care about your best, they care about you and have your best interests at heart, they're going to want to help you through that. I can't see a spouse, wanting their partner to go through this stuff alone and not offer their help or their assistance. If you marry somebody like that, then I really just feel for you. If you marry somebody that's not understanding and you marry someone that is dealing with their own internal issues to the point that they can't be there with you and help you to go through and overcome some things, I really feel bad for you, because that's going to be a long, hard journey. And that's why I hone in on the fact that when you get married, you should be a whole individual to the point where you can be understanding when it comes to your spouse, even though you may be dealing with your little issues, because we all have things that we deal with, even when we're whole. I mean, there's levels to healing, there's levels to transformation, there's levels to wholeness. But at the most part, that person should be able to help you usher through areas in your life. The husband is to cover the wife and to wash her with the word of God. He should be able to be in that position for her. So if it's rejection that you're dealing with from your daddy or your ex or whatever, he should be in a position to help you with that, and vice versa. Right? So I just wanted to come on and share with you guys. Did anybody have any questions? Any questions? Any comments? Let me know. Oh man, I wonder this. That's crazy. Okay, guys, I saw some people say they're getting cut off. I apologize for that, but I just wanted to come on and share that message with you. Hopefully, you can go back and watch the replay, and I pray that it blesses you. But again, I'll be on regularly, just having this conversation about rejection and overcoming rejection, because it's time. It's time. It will destroy your marriage because you'll always have suspicion. You'll always feel like your partner is against you. You'll always have this false expectation from them because you're dealing with your own stuff. A happy marriage comes from a happy individual. A healthy marriage comes from a healthy individual. If you're unhappy, if you're unhealthy mentally and emotionally, guess what? That's going to show up in your marriage. Yeah, that's going to show up in your marriage. So we have to deal with those things. I know some things you don't want to go back and deal with. Some people you don't want to confront. Some things you just wish it just goes away. And for some things it will be. But for others, it's going to be like Hagar. And God's going to tell you to go back. Some things you're going to have to go back to and confront. Yeah. So blessings to you all. Thank you for chiming in. And we'll be back on with tomorrow, Thursday. Tomorrow, we'll be back on having a conversation about rejection and anger. Be blessed, you all.